Welcome, everyone. This is a first session of the She Ascends Circle Lounge. Um, this is what happens when you roll with it, but that's what this channel is about being authentic, our authentic selves. With me are my two phenomenal co-hosts, Kay Ray and Bahati Hart. So today we're going to start our conversation of allyship and what that means to us within the circle. And we're not here to try to win an argument or make anyone feel like they're doing something wrong or haven't done something. We're here to spread awareness. And so I want to kind of kick off the conversation by talking about the statement that we hear a lot of times from others, and it's been said to me as well, that I don't see color. So when you hear that phrase, and we're rolling with this, so however, whoever wants to talk about it first, what does that mean to you when you hear that, or maybe have even said that at one point or another?
I definitely, when I was raised in my household, my mother drilled that into our heads because she definitely felt like she was an ally and always stood up for people. So in our household, the context was people are people, they're human beings. They are not the color of their skin. No one gets to choose what family you're born to, and you treat everybody with respect. You don't disparage, you don't make jokes, you don't discriminate. You treat people equally as a human being across the board. And that's how it was presented in my household. And that's how I've come to operate with it. That as our previous conversations, when this was brought up, I didn't see it from the perspective that you all brought it to me with. So I'm seeing it through a new lens. I'm excited for this conversation because I want to be an ally in the best way possible, right? And I need to know the things where I'm making a misstep that I may not know, and I didn't know until I heard it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think from the perspective, I'm going to give a few perspectives here because I live multidimensionally as a woman of color, a woman, and someone who's neurodiverse. When we tell a friend of ours, because I have white friends too, when we tell our friends that we don't see the box that society has put you in, we just see you. I do believe that that's genuine. I truly do. I've heard that told to me or said around me many, many times. And I'm going to be honest with you, my ancestors were triggered and so was I. Because what we first hear as people who struggle because society judges us based on our color is that you don't recognize our struggle. But what I had to listen for was what you just said, Kay, is I don't judge you based on your color. I don't see your color. I see you as a human being. And boy, I wish everyone in the world would think like that. That is not our truth. That is not the truth of people of color. That is not the truth as for women. That is not the truth for people who are LGBTQ. We genuinely want to be that way, I think, but we oftentimes have to box people in, check a box, because I need to understand how to deal with you. I need you in a box for me. So for the people who say I don't see color, I commend you if you can truly live life that way, but I also expect you to understand that is not the world that we live in.
Yeah, exactly. I agree.
And that's true. Absolutely true.
And I know that, from my experience, the most recent conversation prior to the one that we had, a couple of weeks ago between the three of us, was someone that I worked with. And I think I talk about it in my interview a little bit. But like you said, Bahati, I do believe that that's genuine. And so I don't get offended when I hear that, because I understand what place that's coming from, and what that person means is that, like Kay said, we're all the same. We should be treated the same way. The purpose of this conversation is that, me personally, I want you though to see color. Like, I want you to see
Yeah.
me. I do want you to see the individual that I am and the type of person that I am, but I also want you to see me and see those differences. And you're not going to understand the differences because you don't live that life, but want to understand that, or want to maybe become a little bit more educated on the struggles and the things that we
Okay.
as women of color, it would just be like, for me, I mean, I'm a heterosexual woman, but I have no problem with anyone who is not.
Yeah.
We're here because
Yeah.
we're free to live the life that we want to, and to make the choices that we make and what makes us happy. And if what makes you happy is, a woman loves another woman, or a man loves another man, or whatever, then
Yeah.
that's you. I truly don't look at that. Now, I've never made a statement where, most of the time you hear, I don't see color, but haven't really heard, like, I don't see whatever, I don't know,
Yeah.
homosexuality or whatever.
Sexuality, right?
But right,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's I just understand. I mean, okay, that's what makes you you, and that's what
Yeah.
makes you. I can't say that I can
Yeah.
relate to any of the struggles, because I know that there's struggles behind things like that. I mean, I have someone very close that has related to me went through that, and that shift in identity with, trying to really be who he knew that he was not for years.
Yeah.
And then finally had to just, kind of break free, like, this is who I am. And I could see the change in that person when they finally were able, they finally felt, I guess, comfortable enough, or maybe even safe enough, to come out and
Mhm.
be the person that they are, and now they're living their best life. But I feel that I'm an ally in that sense, where if I were to hear someone use a derogatory term or something regarding someone who, say is homosexual or whatever, I'm going to say something like, you shouldn't say that. That's not the appropriate, word to say. That's, and I'll give an example, like, that's like calling you this or that, so that's where I'm
Mhm.
coming from when I think of being an ally. I'm not saying someone in the workplace should lose their job over anything, or
Yeah.
if your safety is at risk or anything like that. But I feel that if there's an opportunity, even something that small, to say something, like even correct that person, that's not really the correct term, or we don't use that word anymore. Like, maybe it was way back then because no one
Hmm.
understood, but
Mhm.
just educating, and they can
Yeah.
accept it or not, but
Yeah.
I am going to say something. And that's what allyship means to me, is saying something, calling someone out, as long as it's safe to do so.
Yeah. For
So
me,
what are your thoughts?
allyship, to me, allyship is two simple things. Let's not complicate. We label, right? That's just who we are as human beings. We have to box it in. That's how our brain operates in these
Yeah.
systems. Allyship to me is two things. It's reverence for humanity. So when people say, I don't see the label, it's like, I see your spirit, I see your light, I see you as an equal human being, regardless of all the labels. And then respecting the uniqueness, right? Respecting that uniqueness of the label, respecting that I'm colored, respecting that I'm a woman, respecting that I'm neurodivergent, respecting that any other labels that help you redefine my humanity. So reverence for humanity and respect for uniqueness. And once we can get there, what a world it
Yeah.
will be.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Across the board.
Yeah.
And that
And
is what is needed. And what I'm hearing from both of you, it's very important for all of us to recognize culture,
Mm-hmm.
and to be curious about culture and to be respectful of culture
yeah,
and not
yeah,
make assumptions that we know. And I feel that that's important, period, no matter in what setting you're dealing with, assumptions. There's a reason why there's a trite saying, and it can ask of you and me. And
Yeah.
we all need to be curious and we all need to be open to hearing the answer to the question
Yeah.
without already having a ready-made response.
yeah,
Because to me, that's really important. It's a very important part about being an ally, no matter who you're being an ally to or for. You
sure.
you really we all need to. I need to ask the question and be open to the answer, even if it might make me uncomfortable. Good. I need to get comfortable in the uncomfortableness so I
Yeah.
can see what the wisdom is inside there.
But I think that part right there, Kay, I want
Absolutely.
to pull that out, like the discomfort of it all. What is
Mm-hmm.
that? Right? And so for
Mm-hmm.
me, I can say I do live in a space of privilege. I have worked my ass off to have the privileges that I have. In operating in systems that were not designed for me. I figured out how to make a living in these systems. But
Yeah,
I was very uncomfortable. And I had to source through, like, why was I uncomfortable, right?
yeah,
What is it about
Mm-hmm.
men, and what is it about white people, and what is it about a lot of people, right? What is it about the people who privilege within these systems that makes it so hard for me and makes it so uncomfortable for me? And then why am I uncomfortable? If I'm
yeah,
operating like you, if I'm getting the degrees and the certifications and the leadership roles, why is it still uncomfortable for me? And so I
right.
had to do some soul searching about that. And it was identity.
Yeah,
It was an identity thing that I was struggling with.
yeah, yeah. Absolutely. I think I know Kay's having some connection issues. I think she might have froze, but she'll pop in
Yeah.
when she's able to pop in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But what about you?
I,
Since we were talking about discomfort, maybe we can continue with that. Like,
yeah.
do you ever get curious about why other people get uncomfortable with us asking them to really lean into allyship?
Yeah, I do wonder that. I mean, I within the workplace in the environment that I worked in, from the outside, I probably appeared that I was very comfortable, and that's
Mm-hmm.
just because I was able to navigate. There she goes. Navigate those spaces. I was able to
Yeah.
fake the funk for so many years, so to speak,
Yeah.
where, it's like, haha, I'll kiki with this person over here or talk to them over there. And, I've been able to, I was taught, kind of by my parents who
Mm.
worked in corporate America, on how to, you know, I- as people of color, a lot of times we hear how you're going to have to do so much more and you're going to have to work so much harder,
Yeah.
and was
Yeah.
absolutely true for me. Where because of certain relationships and I guess friendships that were going on in the office I worked in,
Mm-hmm.
I could not advance because they didn't want to tick their friend off because I might be, and rightly so, I should have been promoted over that person
Yeah.
because of the
Based
hard
on
work that I
merit.
did, based on merit,
Yeah.
based on my
Just on
performance
paper.
on paper.
Yeah.
And so, but that didn't happen. But I was taught also to kind of mold myself into whatever situation or whatever environment I was in. So if that was in the corporate aspect, it was okay. Then this is how you should carry yourself and conduct yourself.
Yeah.
But then also
We
it's
were
like,
we were
if,
invited into a system that was not going to budge on
no,
how it was designed. And so
right.
allyship was false in that way.
Exactly,
There was no
exactly.
allyship. There was no affirmative action. There was no DEI. It never existed to begin with. It was just
No,
a falsification of equality and equity.
exactly. And the part of my role that I had working in HR was to report those annual numbers that we collected voluntarily because we had to report that as part of our affirmative action plan. And it was like, so it's like every year I got triggered because
Yeah.
I would
Because like
see
show how we're doing it, not how we're being it.
I would see
Show how
the
we're doing
inequities
it.
and how has it improved. I did it year after year for about 13 years. I didn't see much improvement. And the thing that I did see is that the numbers for certain level positions, entry level or whatever the case may be, that did not require a degree or anything of that nature. Okay, yes, I saw a crap ton of women of color in those positions, and it's like, okay, but when you personally know someone, and you know that they exceed that because on paper they have what they need to advance, but they're not advancing. I have a problem with that. And working in that aspect and in that department that's supposed to be there for inequities and offer a sense of belonging or a safe space to come to. And yeah, you have to make sure that the policies and things like that are being followed. But in all actuality, if you're truly working in that space that you should be, as far as human resources go.
HR is supposed to be an ally.
Right, HR is supposed to be an ally. Is exactly my point.
HR is supposed to be an ally.
Supposed to be an ally, and they're not, because they were, at least this, I can only speak for where I was at, but in my personal experience, no, they weren't. And I saw that and experienced it working in the department. It's kind of like, in what world does that happen? You're in the department that's supposed to be allyship and supposed to be the one that's setting the tone and setting the example.
Yeah.
Well, if this is the example, you're putting the front on in front of those that are in front of those,
Yeah.
but then within the compounds of that department, it wasn't happening. But again, there was no allyship within their department because people would see things and know, and even come and talk to me and say, oh yeah, I saw this and they're not doing you right, or this and that. Okay, well, basically, help a sister out. Can you maybe mention something? Because they're not going to listen to me, especially if I'm coming to advocate for myself.
It just makes you
so much
well, it
about
just makes you wonder. It's very reflective now of the times and the data that we're seeing around. I think it's up to 600,000. I think I said 700, but the numbers keep shifting because they don't want to tell the truth. But we know it's well over 500,000 women who were ousted from the workforce in 2025, and the numbers keep climbing.
Yesterday morning,
And the numbers keep climbing. So, as a woman who was impacted by this, and you as well, we have to ask, like, where was the allyship that was protecting us in these spaces? It wasn't in HR. Our supervisors couldn't do it. Clearly, corporate or government, in my case, didn't see the value in retaining the wisdom and knowledge of tenured workforce. So, to me, allyship right now is just a term that people throw around like DEI and affirmative action. It's like, I want to see the receipts now because, again, as I assume these different labels in life, I can tell you in each juncture, like where I had an expectation and it didn't get met. And so if I had to grade affirmative action, I have something to say about that. If I had to grade DEI, I have something to say about that.
Yeah.
Where do we put this information? Where do we not participate anymore in this false transformation of of allyship that's supposed to be pulling seats out at the table? And here's another stat, and I know Kay's coming back, so I don't want to go too deep, but the United Nations women, UN women on LinkedIn, had posted a stat: 8 in 10 decisions were made by men. Women were not at the table at the United Nations, the epitome of allyship globally. And I was like, I said some things, I put a little comment in there, and I was like, we just need to stop participating.
Yeah.
Since they don't want us there, let's just stop participating and see what happens.
Right, right. Yeah, it's almost like there has to be a drastic move made for something to
Here,
change.
We started to experience some technical difficulties. Please tune in next Sunday for the continuation of our series on allyship.